Hey Nakama, this is Gomu Gomu, it's me. My name is Alden, and today we're talking about episode 1088, Luffy's Dream. Let's get into this. Now, before I get this even started, I just want to remind you what I said last week. I said this episode, they weren't going to actually show us his dream. Am I wrong? Stay tuned to find out. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. So, we start the episode off with Boa appearing to be staring at the seraphim that looks like her, right? Everybody remembers, the white hair, the eyes, but then she's got the, which is kind of weird that they had the same thing. Whatever. Then we cut to Boa saying she wants to marry Luffy. Nothing out of the ordinary here. All this stuff is going on around her, and she's like, I want to marry Luffy. It's like, you just want Luffy. Well, she doesn't want Luffy for anything. She just wants to marry him. But anyways, so we see Rayleigh is on the island with the Hancock sisters and Shaky, and we find out. I don't know if we knew. Maybe you could recall, but she was the empress of the Kuja Island 2 generations ago. So it's like, okay, so who was after her? So we get a flashback to Blackbeard's encounter on Kuja, and Rayleigh says he was only able to save Boa because of the circumstances, that was happening. He says he's old now and he can't beat Blackbeard head on, which is crazy to me because we'll get into it. But so we cut to the ending of last week's episode with Blackbeard with Hancock, right? And Blackbeard starts waxing poetically about Boa and how she's turned everyone to stone and they're all in love, and her power is super strong. But at the end of the day, it's like, so somebody like, say somebody like Blackbeard had the fruit, right? Is it just, I mean, the way Boa describes it, like it only works because who she is. So like if she was ugly or whatever the case may be, like would it work as well? I don't know. Anyways, maybe he knows something we don't know about it. And then he starts talking about how everybody knows he cares about his crew, which I didn't know that was a thing. Maybe it is. I've never heard that come into question, but I guess it's a thing. So I just want to let everybody know, I don't care what anybody says. Boa Hancock is a bad bitch. She's a bimbo when it comes to Luffy, but when she told Blackbeard and Emperor to get his dirty hands off her, she was just emanating, bad bitch energy right there. Like nobody can tell me shit about Boa right there. She's looking in the face of a guy who a lot of people mark down as a guy who killed Whitebeard. She told him, "Get your dirty hands off me." Now I know that's like in line with her character, and she thinks all men are dirty and everything, but still, like that's a bad bitch. So Kobe is stuck because if he tries to attack Blackbeard, he could just snap Boa's neck and everyone will remain stone forever. And if he goes after Boa, she could turn him, right? So it's like it's lose lose, right? So we see Rayleigh walking out. Then we cut to Blackbeard saying he's getting nowhere and turns to Kobe. He says he did him a favor during the Rocky Port incident, right? He says he was able to take down Wang Ji and become the ruler of the pirate island thanks to Kobe. So Blackbeard asks Kobe if he thinks Bo will really return his crew from Stone. She says if they leave, she'll turn everyone back, the Navy and Blackbeard's crew, and Blackbeard calls her out and says she's lying. So Blackbeard he admits this now. He admits that he would fall to her technique, so he can't let her go. So automatically we know because of his crew has already been taken over. Like honestly, if I break this down, I don't think this power will work on a few people, right? I don't think it would work on Katakuri. I don't think it would work. It doesn't work on Luffy. I don't think it would work on Zoro. I honestly don't think it would work on Frankie. Um, it would work on a majority of the rest of the tribe. Jinbei, I don't think it would work on, because like those people are like in essence like they're too focused on one thing to be worried about women. Like Zoro had Hiyori all over him. He was like, get away from me. So like there everybody has their thing, but I don't think those few people, and obviously there's more. Like honestly, I don't think Shanks would fall to it. Obviously, I don't think Rayleigh is falling to it. So that's what it is. So, anyways, back to the topic. We see the color of the Supreme King, and who could it be but Rayleigh? So Rayleigh says he knew the Navy would attack, just didn't know it would change the island. And not gonna lie, Blackbeard looks petrified. Blackbeard looks over. He's like, Sir Rayleigh, like stuttering and stuff. Like it's crazy. So we see an immense surge of hockey, not too different from Shanks we just seen. But at the same time, we didn't see Shanks unsheath his full sword, right? So like we see Rayleigh unsheath this full sword, and all this hockey is surging. The people with weak wills are passing out, And, I'm just like, if this is what Rayleigh is doing at his age, what is Shanks up to? Like, what can Shanks do? It's crazy. But so Rayleigh says he doesn't like Blackbeard, and I can't say that I'm too surprised. He calls him, Whitebeard's apprentice, even though we both know that's not true. So Rayleigh tells Hancock to turn everyone back and that they're to leave and not do anything foolish. She's watching them. He's like, yo, if anybody act crazy, I'm gonna act up. We cut to the present where Rayleigh is saying that the Navy thought they could replace the warlords with the seraphim, which, I mean, I guess it makes sense because they can actually control the seraphim, unlike the warlords. So it makes sense in a sense. We cut to a Navy ship and we find out Captain Kobe was kidnapped by Blackbeard, right? And now we cut to the Revolutionary Army with Ivankov and Koala reading a paper with Sabo and King on the front page, right? And then we cut again to Dragon and Kuma. Dragon says Sabo is okay, but if he really killed Cobra, no matter the reason, he won't be forgiven, right? So Dragon asks Kuma to tell him what he saw, and right before he does, I was about to do para. So Sabo calls, right? And we see the Navy intercepting the call, being the feds that they are. I'm wondering if it's the Flame Emperor. So he's already, that name is here to stay. Like, we all thought, oh, the Flame Emperor, but that's here to stay, right? So Sabo says he's sorry to cause them trouble, right? And that's the last we hear of that. I'm sure they're going to chime in with that from time to time, like just develop that story alongside the main story. So then we cut to Luffy saying it's not true. We find out that the paper is saying Sabo killed Cobra and Vivi is now missing. So Luffy's like, fuck that. Let's go to Alabasta. And Zoro kind of checks his emotions. He goes, Cobra's dead, Vivi's gone. What would we do? We would just be there, right? And we see wet hair caribou in the barrel, and Zoro knocks him over after Luffy suggests going to Marijoa, right? Luffy says he's ready to take on the Navy headquarters, and Zoro says, cool your head. We have no leads. We have no idea what's going on, right? So then Chopper cries, of course. We get a flashback to Cobra, King Cobra rather, thanking the Straw Hats in the sauna, which was kind of a weird place because not gonna get into it. Anyways, so now all the emotional Straw Hats are crying as usual. That's the Usops, that's the Namis, that's the Choppers, that's the Sanjis, that's them, right? So what I've realized, well, not realized, I mean, I've known this, but what this scene kind of accentuates is that Zoro is the perfect right hand to the future Pirate King. He keeps his head straight, his emotions in check. Luffy seems insistent on going to Alabasta till Zoro reminds him, what did you say when Ace was in trouble? Which was that Ace has his own adventures. And Luffy reluctantly understands, and Zoro says, when it's time, they'll fight anyone. They'll fight anyone for Vivi. But until then, since they can't do anything, stop fussing. So Luffy, in his emotional state, with all these emotional people around him, backing him up basically, says, all we can do is fuss, so let us fuss. And then he calls Zoro an Oni, aka a demon. So the emotional Straw Hats all gang up on Zoro, and they call Zoro Green Kaido, Green Mom, Onigashima, and Sanji finish it off with Shitty Mosshead, right? And then they thumb down and boo him, right? So he replies with, shut up, fourth place, knowing it would piss Sanji off, right? So then they start a skirmish on board, which, nobody's really paying attention to. They don't really care. That happens every other day. That's just a normal Tuesday, right? So Robin, reading the paper, says so many things happened when they were in Wano, and they can't relax, but things should be okay. She mentions the abolition of the warlord system, sending those elite pirates, rather, to the sea, right? The Cross Guild, Buggy being an emperor. And then Robin asks Luffy if he wants to hear some more news, like a teacher to a student, to which he says, I'll leave it to you, meaning tell me only the shit I want to hear, because that's all I care about, right? So Luffy says, Luffy lays back, and he's like, Sabo grew up in such a strict home, he just wants to set everybody free. So I know he's not out here just killing, good. Basically, he's saying he does what he has to do, but it's never going to affect somebody who's innocent, right? So, we get a flashback to Sabo saying he wants to travel the world and write a book about it. We hear Ace's dream, which is to become a notorious pirate, which he did even at a very young age. Like, everybody knows Fire Fist Ace. Like, he basically had the Grand Line. I'm not going to say in the stronghold, but everybody knew who he was. They call him Fire Fist Ace. Every pirate has a nickname. But what I'm saying is, they but they had a tournament in Dressrosa, and they were calling it basically Ace's Fruit. So anyways, we hear, so everyone is gasping, so I guess they heard Luffy's dream. People are laughing, some saying no way that can happen, to which Luffy says, it's possible once I become the king of pirates. So Luffy says he thought he already told his crew about, his dream, but he guess he only told Shanks, Sabo, and Ace, to which they all laughed. And I knew we wouldn't get the dream reveal, and guess what? End of the episode. So, preview, it's a Wano episode. Figured it would be some kind of filler, it could be packed with information, but just like it's something that doesn't go with the story right now. You get what I'm saying? So I'm sure we'll get another one. I think they said Egghead starts on January 7th, so something along those lines. My rating for the episode would probably be like about a... Honestly, like with the title being like clickbaity, I guess you could call it, because I know they're not going to tell us Luffy's dream, but it's like, don't call an episode Luffy's dream. You see what I'm saying? Like, I get it that he told the Straw Hats and that was like a big moment, but that's not how this works, So I'd give it like a 7.5. Like, yeah, we did get some resolutions in the whole Blackbeard, Boa, and Kobe thing. Not Shanks, but Sabo and Cobra and Vivi. Like, we got a lot of reveals, but it just, I don't like when a title, like, imagine if a title said, now that everybody's seen Wano, like, Kaido falls, something like that. And it's literally nothing to do with Kaido falling until, like, the end of the episode where they start fighting. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't like titles like that. And I'm not saying this on Oda, I'm not saying this on whatever, but whoever named this episode Luffy's Dream sucks. Like, if it was, like, this episode could have honestly been something to do with the first, like, 13 minutes of the episode. So, I'm not going to get, whatever. But yeah, so that's my review. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Be safe and well in your travels. Enjoy the journey. And just know, I will be the king of YouTube. Peace.